Arigato.
Hiring's better when you've got your short list. Save time on hiring when you post a job on Indeed. Get started today at Indeed.com/hire.
It's time to join the millions of people that meet happy with Zoom video conferencing. Zoom gives you flawless video, crystal clear audio, and instant sharing across any mobile, tablet, or desktop device. But the best thing about Zoom? It just works. So ditch the distractions, join the movement, and meet happy with Zoom video conferencing. Visit Zoom.us to set up your free account today. That's Zoom.us. Zoom video conferencing.
Good morning and welcome to the Saturday Morning Quarterback Show this morning. I'm Bob Hayes and I'm joined this morning by Tiger head coach David Barnes and assistant coach Jeff Riley. Jeff's in charge of the defensive line. The Tigers went to Graves County last night hoping to even their record at 1-1 and came out with a hard-fought victory over the Eagles, winning 28-17. In that game, the Tigers took control in the third quarter, which had a wacky start to it. And we'll talk about that after I come back after these messages to break down the first half of last night's game with coaches Barnes and Riley.
Caldwell Medical Center Sleep Lab offers diagnosis for a variety of sleep problems, including sleep apnea. 1 in every 5 Americans have significant sleep difficulties, which, when diagnosed properly, can be successfully treated. A few symptoms of sleep disorders include fatigue, morning headaches, impotence, frequent urination, irritability, memory loss, high blood pressure, and loud snoring. If you have some of these symptoms, we may be able to help you identify and treat them before they cause more serious health conditions. Caldwell Medical Center offers studies in lab and in your home depending on your insurance company's requirements. Call 270-365-0300 for more information.
Seasons come and seasons go, but something that can remain the same is reliability. And here at McGregor Group Heating and Air, reliability and honesty are a few of our top priorities. So if you're looking for heating and air service, give us a call at 270-896-5044 or come visit us at 960 Varmint Trace Road here in Princeton. We're the company that you can take comfort in.
Welcome back to the SMQ, and that's what we'll call this, the Saturday Morning Quarterback. We'll call it the SMQ. Last night was a great win for our players, overcoming several obstacles and mistakes to defeat Graves County. David, your takeaway from the game after it was over was?
Just really proud of what our kids fought for 48 minutes. Gave us a chance to win the football game. It was 15-15 at half. We had the ball on 1 yard inside the one right before half. Should have got it in and go up at half and didn't. They had to kick off to us, and then they get the onside kick, so they had the advantage going into the third quarter there. But our kids never quit and didn't let down, and I'm really proud of their effort.
A lot of happy players after the game, I presume. Always great to get a win. Jeff and I were talking when we came in. It may have not been a pretty win, but it always beats a ugly win. Always beats a pretty loss.
Well, the big thing is we played a lot better than we did last week, and we did some things last night that we didn't do well the week before. And I thought our receivers really played well last night after coming off of not a real good game last week against Christian County.
And we know going into the game, we didn't get a lot of love out of the Paducah Sun yesterday in their pigskin picks. They had 12 people picking games, and 8 of them went with Graves County last night, 4 with Caldwell. So maybe we opened some eyes last night a little bit.
Well, our concern is that we get better each week as a team, and those guys that pick games, that's their job, I guess, to put it in the paper. But obviously last night we went out and again the best thing we did was we didn't quit.
And looking at the first half, again, it was a great situation the Tigers ran because we won the coin toss and elected to defer. We kick off to Graves County. They mishandle it a little bit, take possession on their 10-yard line. And on third down in that play, quarterback Mathis goes back to pass and is sacked in the end zone by Russ Bashir for a safety, which was a great way to start that football game.
A real good way to start the game. Get points off our defense, and our kids. We had them backed up, and we came after them a little bit, and kids got after it, and and to get to safety was a big part of that first quarter.
And I'm going to ask Coach Riley, even though it was a linebacker that took him down, we had good rush on that play by the D-line, Jeff.
Yeah, our D-line, those kids are active kids. When they're not a traditional defensive line. Leighton's a little more traditional kid as far as his size and speed, but Devin and Mitchell aren't. They're smallish type kids, but they're quick guys with a high motor. And Russ fits that most too. He's not a big kid, but he's a quick guy with a high motor. And they got under their pads a little bit and got a good rush and turned out pretty well.
We noticed on that play that Mitchell had gotten free of his man and was going to wreak some havoc on the quarterback before Russ got him down.
Right.
So
sometimes you can make the play without making the tackle, right?
Exactly. So I don't know whether Mathis felt the pressure or not. He didn't appear to want to get rid of the ball.
Yeah, I don't know. I know Russ we got a good rush and we got there at the same time. That's kind of what you want. You want them to get off the ball and kind of meet at the quarterback.
Tigers go up at that point 2-0, and so Graves County has to kick off to us, and we take the ball at the Graves 44-yard line after a good return. 22-yard pass to Travis Newsom moves the ball to the 17, and 2 plays later, Joby's picked off. Pretty good coverage on that play, I thought, by Graves County. I didn't know where. Probably should have winged that ball out of bounds or something.
Yeah, when Joby came off the sideline, I said, that was the third down play there. We're in field goal position, and you got to throw that ball away and give us a chance for the field goal. And instead he threw it, but hopefully that's one of those things we learn from and won't happen again.
Well, that's all you can ask for is, hey, that it wasn't there. Next time is a different story. So Graves County takes over, can't do anything, going 3 and out, and they punt back to the Tigers. Tigers take over at the Graves 20 in territory at the 39, but face a 4th and 1 and go for it and fail. A couple times last night when we had 4th and 1, we just couldn't punch it past the line of scrimmage. I'm not sure what we ran there as opposed to quarterback sneak at the end of the half. Did we try to go wide on that play or an inside handoff?
I think it was the inside handoff.
So Graves takes over at the 29-yard line. They strike quickly in 2 plays. The first one, 11-yard pass, 11-yard run. Then the big 60-yard pass where their end just completely runs past us. Either a great fake to pull our secondary guy up, but the receiver was wide open by 15 yards, I would think.
We were in man coverage there, and there's really no reason that kid should have been wide open on man coverage. And probably a mistake on our DB's part that he got a bad read or something, but that kid was 10 yards behind him, and that should never happen.
So Graves County converts on the point extra. They go up 7-2. Caldwell County takes the kickoff at their 33, and we march 67 yards in 13 plays in that drive. Derek Hollowell carries 5 times for 6 yards, including the touchdown run from 1 yard out. Great picture in today's Times leader of him getting the ball into the end zone by stretching it out. Also in that drive, Barron Wells with 3 pass receptions for 23 yards, and he showed up well last night, David, in the replacing for Oliver Parker.
Very proud of his effort. He got his first start and did a lot of good things for us last night, and very proud of that kid.
We'll talk about him later in the broadcast because he and Barrett Schultz combined for maybe a kickoff saving tackle later in the game. Travis with an 11-yard reception, and Gabies with a 7-yard reception. We get it down with Jameer, two runs for 11 yards. And then finally on 4th down, a 6-yard scramble by Joby, and we get it into the end zone on that. Actually, Jameer, 6-yard run by Jameer on that play. We missed the extra point, again, a little bit wide left type of situation for Barrett, or?
I thought it went wide left.
Well, I mean, he was missing it left again last night.
Jake came to me like the second time we kicked, and he said, "I don't know what's going on." He's he's hooking everything, and it was just something this week in practice we're going to work on get that lined out. So
the Tigers put 6 on the board, coupled with their safety. We go up 8-7 at that point. Graves takes the kick and march 67 yards to score again, 2 drives in a row. Their best 2 drives of the night, putting it into the end zone. key fourth down call on that play was a run from punt formation. They do that 3 times last night against us successfully, and then they finally hook up with the young man who caught the first pass, Drew Cooper, and that touchdown and successful 2-point conversion by Graves makes the score Graves 15, Tigers 8. We hadn't seen any of that on film, had we?
They had not shown it on film, but you got the quarterback back there that's a running quarterback, that's a punter, and number 2 back there that's a real good running back. We just defensively, we got a bit worried that could happen, and they took advantage of it and executed it, and we didn't stop it.
I want to ask Coach Riley, when they came off the field, what did you say anything to the defensive line at that particular time?
After the fake punt?
Yes.
No, I didn't say anything personally. I know Coach Mack did, talking to him about the fake punt. He handles the punt return team, and they were talking about personnel and getting concerned. They had made a couple adjustments, and I think in those situations they see something you don't see what they're doing on film. You almost have to see it. You can't go over every possible fake punt in practice every time you go. So we got adjusted, and I think they had a couple more up their sleeve, and then that's something that the kids will learn from and experience, and we'll just have to kind of look at it and learn to defend it.
As I mentioned earlier, we overcame several obstacles last night. Those 3 plays being part of that. Then lightning strikes for the Tigers. Graves County kicks off, and Trace Olden fields it at the 9-yard line, has a seam up the right sideline, and just blazes to the end zone. From the time the last touchdown had been reported by Graves, and this one was 13 seconds off the clock. So he gets down the field pretty quickly, maybe not even getting touched. I know that when he takes it down the sidelines, and I'm going to compliment the officials now, because there was a flag thrown on that play, and we didn't know whether, from our viewpoint, it looked like it was the kicker, the punter, or the kickoff guy, Jeff Mathis, the quarterback, got blocked legitimately, and our blocker blocked him into one of our guys, and the officials threw the flag, got together, conference, and then waved that flag off and allowed the touchdown to stand. So it didn't take him long to get down the sideline, did it, David?
Tracy's got really good speed, and the kickoff return is something we talked about this week, that if we just get on our blocks, down our blocks, and open a lane up on that sideline, we're going to score a touchdown. I just knew that could happen, and we took Jameer out because of his shoulder, didn't put him on the return team, put Tracy in there, and he hit it and got up the sideline, and I thought we did a pretty good job on our blocking. And I know when I saw the flag come out, I may have been kicked out if they had called that penalty on it, because I was right in front of me. The block was so.
We thought from the booth that they have to, and when they got together, to me, it was a 99.9% chance they were going to wave that flag off, because I'm sure that somebody was telling this other guy, look, he didn't get blocked in the back. He got pushed into a blocker who was at his back. So anyway, the touchdown stands. Barrett makes the extra point on this particular play, and the Tigers and Graves are tied at this point 15-15. On the ensuing kickoff, Graves can't make anything going, and they face 4th and 4, and they punt the ball back to the Tigers. Tigers take over at their 45, and we have to punt. Big penalty on first down pushes us back where we can't overcome that penalty, and then we get a nice 35-yard punt from Trip Branch that's down at the Graves 13-yard line. For the most part last night, I thought our punting game was well in hand. I know we had one little incident there where he had to make an acrobatic move to get one off.
Yeah, I thought Trip did a really good job of getting the ball, kicking it, and then especially on the one where kid was coming off the edge, and he had enough awareness to get kick out of there. And I was really pleased with our punt team, but on the extra point we got to work on, and then we gave up a big run on the kickoff return. So there's some things there on the special teams last night that really hurt us.
And so Graves takes over at their 13, and they march again, their third long march of the first half and get to on their 12th play. They fumble. We recover at the 10-yard line. Recovery of that fumble by Caleb Burden. Were the Coach Riley, we weren't being worn down by having our defensive line on the field that long. It was a nice, cool night. Did you see any?
Well, I mean,
tear?
Yeah, it was physical. I think on the punch you guys were referring to, Mitchell got a little bit of a thumb, so that affected the snap a little bit. So Michael Vickery came in and gave Mitchell a break. I don't know about wore down, but anytime you have a long drive like that and those defensive linemen are having to work and go make plays, that's pretty fatiguing. You want to get off the field as soon as you can. But you attribute to the guys kind of step up and rallied, and we got to stop there.
And also in that drive, there was another second fourth down from punt formation where they pick up and keep the drive going. And in this particular drive, Graves begins to go to the air more. Their rushing attack last night was really feeble. We'll go over that at the end of the show here. But in this particular 12-play drive, they throw it 8 times and run it 4, the last run being disaster for them by the fumble. So the Tigers take over our 10 after the fumble recovery. We pick up 1 first down by penalty. In that series, Tate Van Hoosier catches a 6-yard pass. The Tigers have to punt from our 18, and Tripp punts it to the Graves 41-yard line, which was a net punt for him of 41 yards and no return. This is getting late in the second quarter. Graves takes over, gets backed up by a penalty, way back in their territory, and their punter then has to punt from their 10. And I'm not sure whether it's a wet ball or I know Mathis was running around back there a little bit and trying to get the punt off, but he only gets off a 3-yard punt, which we take over at the Graves 13, and that's the last series that we'll have it at the first half. On first play, we almost get in the end zone, a 12-yard pass to Trell Riley to the 1, but then we score on a end around. That was called back by penalty, and we eventually face 4th and 1 from the 1, but obviously a decision to go for the touchdown at that point, David.
Yeah, we wanted to get to, it was right before half. Felt like, momentum-wise, you get the touchdown, and, we're in a situation where we got to get better at, in a game, in the 1-yard line or inside the 1-yard line, you don't get that a lot to practice. You don't practice it a lot. So it gave us an opportunity to see what we could do there, and we were going to do some work on that situation right there. Because we had the first down that we didn't get last night on 4th and short, and then we didn't get the touchdown on that short yard situation either.
So at the half ends with the score being 15-15. No scoring after the first play of the second half. First play of the second quarter, Graves scores. We take the kickoff and run it back. So that was the only scoring in the second quarter, all within the first 30 seconds of that second quarter.
I'm going to go back to a play there where the kid kept running and we stripped the ball on about the 5-yard line, and they determined that the ball was down.
That was that 15-yard scrum you're talking about.
Yes, and that ball, that kid, they let the kid keep going, and they said the momentum stopped, and that ball was stripped. That was a fumble. And
well, if they're going to not blow the whistle when that's going on, they can't blow the whistle because the likelihood is he could keep further going, and we thought that was maybe the worst call of the night by the officials.
And then right after that, we get the penalty on one of our players that said something that he shouldn't have said it, but I told the referee I agree with what our kid said. He was right. That was a bad call, and I really think they blew that one.
Well, I mean it was a good 15. He was hit maybe at the 30, and the play didn't end until like the 15, and we were up in the press box wondering what the concept of when you blow a whistle on something like that.
Actually, there were two in that game that I felt like were fumbles that they ruled he was down, but we got out of there with a win.
And that ends the first half, score tied 15-15, and we'll take a break and be back with Coach Barnes and Riley after these messages from our sponsors.
Get into shape and feel good at Trilogy Performance Sports in Princeton. Trilogy Performance Sports offers a wide range of classes to help you reach your fitness and well-being goals. Trilogy Performance Sports offers yoga, gymnastics, sports training, team training, cardio kickboxing, and weightlifting. They have family discounts, and your first class is free. Come work out in a family-friendly environment. Trilogy Performance Sports is located directly behind Cash Express in Princeton. Open 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week. Be better than you used to be at Trilogy Performance Sports, Princeton. Telephone 270-601-1824.
Have you been a victim of debit or credit card fraud? Farmers Bank and Trust can help lessen your risk of getting taken advantage of. As our customer, you have exclusive access to a security feature in our app that will allow you to turn your debit card off while you're not using it, then turn it on instantly when you need to use it. Keep your information safe. Log into our free app to use this feature, increasing the security of your information right now. Not a Farmers Bank customer? Come down. Let us set up your account and start protecting you from potential fraud opportunities. This is not a guarantee that your information will not be compromised. This is an increased security measure. Farmers Bank and Trust, member FDIC.
Welcome back to the SMQ show. David, at halftime, I noticed we didn't go off the field, and Coach Riley tells me why, is that the locker room was quite a bit of distance from the football field. So you take them to the end zone, and what changes did you make or adjustments did you make, and what did you say to the kids or your coaching staff say to the kids at halftime?
I really don't know as much as I said. And since I've been here in 06, and Coach Riley and Coach McClung, Coach Mack, we've been together all that time coaching. It may be the maddest I've seen Coach McClung in all those years. He got into the defense pretty good last night. Challenged them really good, and also then he came over to the offensive side, got in the offensive lineman. So, I think that was a big thing. And offensively, Will and I just talked to him about some things that we needed to do. We changed a few things, talked about some things on routes that we thought we could run that we hadn't run a lot in practice, but we knew we could run them. And then got with our offensive line that they had to get more physical up front on some short yard situations, and then Coach McClung got over and got after him a little bit. So I think it's more what Coach McClung said at halftime than anything I said.
Well, we come back out, and obviously we at halftime we feel like it's anybody's game. Graves had those 3 long drives, putting 2 touchdowns on the board, and we had to counter that with a 91-yard kickoff return and a drive of our own. But we received the kickoff to start the third quarter, having deferred to the second half, and Graves immediately catches us napping and does an onside kick and recovers at our 39-yard line. I'm not sure whether any of our frontline people saw that kick or not. I think they were all.
I'll take full blame for that deal. We got a freshman right there in the middle, and coaching wise, I should have had him coach because I do the kickoff return, and he took off running as soon as the ball right before it was kicked, and because he has to get to a certain spot on the field on the return. And, he's a freshman, and Coach Riley went to him right after it happened and talked to him and got it straightened out. But, it was a learning situation for him. And but you're right, our front 5, they just took off, and you can't do that.
Well, Graves then takes over, and they face 4th and 1 and try to convert. But we have a great defensive stand. Actually, on 4th down, the runner loses 1 yard. So, Coach Riley, what'd you tell him coming off the field?
Well, just good defense. I mean, that's a big stand. They got a little momentum with they had a little momentum with the goal line stand, and then they got a little more with the onside kick, and to get them to get off the field there, no points, and kind of give the offense the ball back there earlier in the third quarter was big. That's good defense, and they're, over the last 2 games, there are times you can put up and say, hey guys, we're playing really good defense here, and there are spots we give up some stuff, but all in all, our defense has done a pretty good job to start the year.
We take over, and again, we just immediately come out from our 35-yard line, and we punch at 65 yards to score, and really wreaking havoc on our left side of the offensive line, Graves' right defensive side. So apparently Big Ben Thompson must have been fired up by Coach McClung and at halftime because he was knocking people down right and left, and Derek finally getting a little space to run, picking up some big yards on that drive. He does pick up 32 yards on 3 carries. Your plan, David, was to continue to run the ball, especially after a 14-yard gain opens that drive.
Yeah, well, we wanted to be able to run it to keep the clock running, and I was really proud of Derek last night. He bounced back after kind of a tough game last week and ran. I think he had 25 carries, which that's for us. That's quite a few carries for Ev.
That puts him in the backfield Hall of Fame, doesn't it? But I mean, he ran well and never quit.
Ran hard. He kept his feet moving. Got yards after contact, and our offensive line was doing a good job up front. And some things that we did, in that run game, we had some passes tagged on that helped us as well.
And also on that drive, Travis Newsome with 2 receptions totaling 20 yards, and we knew that Travis had to leave the field in the first half. We didn't know whether it's cramp or a little ankle.
He made that catch on our sideline, and as he went out of bounds, one of their players, I don't know if it hit him or contacted him, but he kind of tweaked his hamstring a little bit, and it tightened up on him. But he came back in, and he gutted it out last night, and hopefully we'll have him ready to go this week. But he played a little hurt last night and had a heck of a game. I think he had 96 yards receiving.
He makes tough catches, and
he
not
caught
only
one screen pass. I don't know how he made 5 yards on it.
He's always yards after catch. He's going to make yards after the catch.
Yeah.
He's that tough. So we get to the 9-yard line. I mentioned earlier that Jameer had that earlier touchdown. It was really Joby. Jameer goes the final 9 yards on this to score. 7-play drive that we have. The PAT was good, and the Tigers go up 22-15 at this point. Graves comes back with the kickoff at their 26, and on 4th and 1, again they run it from punt formation and pick up the first down. They eventually move to the Tiger 39-yard line, but Mathis is intercepted for the first time last night by Trell Riley. And as Graves mentioning earlier, really is taking to the air now in the second half and throwing a lot of passes. I think he threw maybe 45 or 46 passes last night, Mathis did. But when he floats the ball, he's vulnerable to the interception.
I thought Trell made a heck of a play on that first interception. He went up and made the catch, and and he also made the break up in the end zone. I thought he really played well on that receiver, and that was a big turnover right there.
We had great defensive play last night by Trell and Jameer, and also everybody back in that secondary pass breakups. We'll mention him here shortly. But the Tigers take over at the R31-yard line after the interception, and we marched 69 yards to score a second touchdown in the third quarter. Derek, again, 25 yards on 3 carries, again running around our left side. Travis, again, with 3 receptions for 24 yards, some tough catches in that drive, and Jameer, 2 carries for 9 yards, and excellent blocking by the offensive line at this point. So you had to be pleased with how we came out to start the third quarter with our O-line.
I was real pleased. I thought we were more aggressive, and one of the adjustments we did make at halftime was suggestion by Coach Stallings. He's not coaching, but he's up top helping out on Friday nights, and he talked about running a play that we used to have which was hitch routes, and that's the 3 that Travis caught. That's all those routes, and we got some big first downs, and so that was one of the adjustments at halftime. Another thing at halftime, and Ty was like this. They started playing Sweet Home Alabama, and I told the kids, I said, that's my favorite song. I said, that's an omen right there. We're going to win this football game. And I looked at Jameer and I said, who sings that song? Jameer said, I had no clue, Coach. I said, I never heard that song in my life. So it kind of broke it up a little bit.
Well, we get great blocking, and I have to correct myself again on this. In this particular drive, we get to the 11-yard line, and it's Joby. I'd mentioned he'd scored earlier. This is the play where Joby scrambles 11 yards for the touchdown, possibly his first varsity touchdown of his career.
I think it's correct.
and making some great run, making some nifty moves up the middle. Maybe probably untouched to get to the end zone. Again, we missed the extra point with 2 touchdowns in the third quarter. We go up 28-15 on Graves County. They take the kickoff and go 3 and out, punt to us at our 22-yard line. We pick up 2 first downs. Key plays an 8-yard pass to Barron Wells, another great catch by that young man, wide open on the sideline. And then we have an 11-yard pass again to Travis Newsom. 8-yard scramble by Joby, getting out of trouble and picking up yardage down our sideline on the press box side. But we're forced to punt from our 49, and Tripp gets off a 29-yard punt, backing Graves up to the 22. Graves moves from their 22 to the Tiger 24. Big play in that drive was a 34-yard pass completion. However, Mathis, again, the quarterback for Graves County, throws his second interception of the night, and it was a ricochet that Tate Van Hoosier picks off, and we take over at our 25-yard line. Tate was in the right place at the right time.
Almost like Hunter was last year.
When we had a chance to make plays, we made them last night, especially on defense. So we have it. We can't move, and we have to punt from our 35, and this is when the snap is either dropped, mishandled, but Tripp manages to get off an acrobatic 14-yard punt that Graves takes over at our 49-yard line, and they move from our 49 to the Tigers 2, and one of their few running plays in that drive results from the 2-yard line, and the Graves ball carrier is tackled and fumbles. The fumble recovered by John Kelly Hughes. So Graves obviously going to the air, trying to run the ball in, and it backfires on him. Great stop on that series to keep him out of the end zone, David.
Big play right there, and to get the turnover to get the ball back was really big, and it was a good job there. Our defensive line getting some pressure on them.
And I think that's when you mentioned earlier maybe a fumble, I think maybe a play or two before that they may have laid the ball on the ground, and we didn't get the fumble.
That's correct.
And I know John Kelly makes the recovery. I couldn't tell from the press box who made the hit on him.
I couldn't tell either.
I don't know. I haven't watched the film.
Well, there was some one or two Tiger players in the area. John Kelly could have been one of the ones hitting him.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And all that, but we catch a break, take over at our 5-yard line, but we can't stand prosperity. And on the first play from scrimmage, bad snap or anything, we wanted up in the press box, we were just saying, let's run clock. But misfortune strikes, and Joby's tackled in end zone for a safety with 2 minutes and 56 seconds to play in the game. We didn't know bad snap, I think, is what it was. We didn't know whether a wet ball contributed to that or what.
Whatever it was, it wasn't good.
Exactly. We can pick and choose when you watch film what the situation was. So Graves then adds 2 points. Score now Caldwell 28, Graves 17. Then we kick off from our 20-yard line, and the kick goes to our press box side, and the person who fields that ball has to go back and pick it up, and it starts off field, and it looks like he had tons of daylight to run to, and making the in my opinion, a touchdown-saving tackle on that play were Barrett Schultz and Barron Wells to take the Graves County carrier kickoff returner at the 33-yard line. That could have been disaster if he gets it to the end zone, because that gives them momentum, but we do make the tackle. Great pursuit by those kids, never giving up. And our kickers, from starting 6, 7, 8 years ago, these soccer players can make tackles.
I think Coach Tucker must be teaching tackling in soccer.
I mean, they didn't shy away from that contact at all. Pretty good sized kid returning that ball.
It's not good on your kickoff when your two safety guys have to make the tackle.
But at least they made the tackle.
They made the tackle, but again, that's a situation where those guys are following each other, and the whole middle of that field opened up, and that's something we got to get taken care of. But thank goodness we had two guys there to get that kid down.
And then Graves has it first down, and again, Mathis floats back into the pocket, throws a pass that has a lot of air under it, and for the third time he suffers an interception, the second time by Trail Riley. So when that occurred, we could finally take a breath up in the press box and say this game is over, and we do take it over and manage to run out the clock. Two big running plays in that series on our last series, a 24-yard run by Derek, which puts him over the 100-yard mark, and a 29-yard run by Gabe East. We were blocked. We had that run blocked well on the right side.
Yeah, we did a really good job blocking it, and Gabe did a good job of getting on the edge and then not getting out of bounds, keep the clock running, and to get that was smart on his part. But I really thought our offensive line, and you had Derek leading on that, and it was a really good job of our outside receivers blocking as well.
When Gabe got the ball, you look up and you see about 5 Tiger jerseys in front of him with no Graves people appearing. I thought he could probably take it all the way if he gets past the kid that did bring him down.
I thought he was gone.
He had a shot to go all the way, and the score game ends at that point. Caldwell County winning 28-17. We're going to look at the stats and individual performances when we return for the final segment, and we'll be back after these messages.
Hi, Caldwell County. I'm Allie Coleman with First Southern National Bank, and I'm ready to service your next loan. Whether you're wanting to build your first home, buy an investment property, or add square footage for your growing family, we can tailor a solution just for you. Stop by my office at 101 West Washington Street in Princeton, or give me a call at 270-365-3545 to apply today. First Southern National Bank, Equal Housing Lender, Federal Registry 409424, NMLS 1002990.
Great news! Any size ice cold and refreshing soft drinks are still just $1 at McDonald's every day. That's the news. Now the weather. Soft drink lovers at McDonald's report enjoying ice cold deliciousness. Also reported, chance of refreshment 100%. Get any size soft drink for just $1 only at McDonald's. A la carte only, limited time offer at participating McDonald's. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Welcome back to the final segment of the SMQ, and I'm happy to report that we're joined now by another coach on the Tiger coaching staff, and that's Coach Earl. Nice to have you with us, Coach Earl.
Thank you.
Looking at the stats last night, in the rushing department, Derek rushes 25 times, picks up 128 yards. Jameer 4 times for 32. Gabe once for the 29 we just talked about. Joby 6 times for 11. And a team where the ball rolled around on the ground and we fall on it twice for a -7 yards. So we rushed 38 times for 193 yards. Meanwhile, Graves County carries the ball 27 times for 58 yards. 22 of those 58 yards coming on runs from punt formation. So they didn't have much of a stellar ground game except for their 4th down rushes.
It says a lot about our defense because they got some kids out there that when we watch film, number 7, number 1, number 2 are all good running backs, and the quarterback's a good runner. So that's just a tribute to what our defense did last night against a very good football team. And to make a point right now, I know Goatley goes down in the 3rd quarter. Yeah. I don't think he returned. He did not.
And I'm not sure whether it was a knee maybe or...
I talked to him after the game. It was somebody's calf or Achilles.
Well, we know that hurt them immensely when he came out because he's a hard runner, a big kid, good linebacker.
A good football player.
In the receiving department last night, Joby's 19 out of 26 with 1 interception for 155 yards, and we have 7 different Tigers receiving passes last night. Travis with 10 catches for 96 yards. Barron Wells for 4 catches for 37 yards. Trail 1 catch for 13. Gabe 1 catch for 7. Jameer 1 catch for 6. Tate 1 catch for 6. And De'Eric Hollowell 1 catch for -5 yards. So Again, we moved the ball through the air. Total yards for Caldwell last night, 348, pretty evenly distributed, rushing 193, passing 155. Graves, 342 yards total offense, 58 on the ground, 284 in the air. 3 interceptions, as we've mentioned, Trail with 2, Tate Van Hoosier with 1, fumble recoveries. We had 2 of those, Caleb Burden getting 1, John Kelly Hughes getting the other, 1 forced fumble by Jameer Riley, 3 pass breakups. And I thought our secondary coverage, they were just trying to gash us on slant routes, it looked like all night long.
Yeah, we knew that going in. That was one of their favorite routes.
And with pass breakups with 3, Jameer with 2, Trail with 1, Trail breakup occurring in the end zone on that nice play. We have 3 sacks, Russ Bashir with 2, Ben Holt with 1. Ben's one of these guys that you don't mention his name much, but you look up and he comes out with 6 tackles last night and some key defensive play.
He and Russ Bashir both, both of those playing outside linebackers, and I thought both of them did a great job last night.
And we had 3 deflections. We knew that a couple times the pass either got hit. We knew Caleb had knocked 1 down. Jameer and Trail both with 1 each. In the tackle department, Jameer Riley leads us with 10, and you expect the quarterbacks to make a lot of tackles when Graves was 23 out of 46, 3 interceptions through the air, 284 yards. So you know your secondary is going to get a few tackles. Jameer gets 10, Russ Bashir gets 9, Caleb Burden with 7, Ben Holt with 6, Devin Kilgore, another unsung hero last night, 5 tackles. Drew Davis, a pure freshman, with 5, and probably creating a little havoc on defensive line, Jeff.
Yeah, well, we talked to those guys about sometimes as a defensive lineman, your production, the numbers in the stat book are going to come and go. But as long as you're doing your job and controlling your gap and moving up and down the line of scrimmage, and it's like we said earlier, you can do your job and not make the tackle. And but if those guys get a chance to make tackles, we want to make them. And that's 2 games in a row that Drew's had probably about 4 or 5 tackles. And they're not an inside run team. They didn't run in there to give him a lot of opportunities last night, and he did it. He's done a good job. He's going to be a good football player for us. He's a good coachable kid.
And when
works
you have
hard.
a pass-happy team, your
Right.
offensive or defensive line won't make many tackles.
Right, and and you talk about fatigue. I think sometimes that pass rush on some of those defensive linemen run up there and hitting those in their case big kids. They had some big offensive linemen that our guys were having to fight through. So I'm proud of their performance.
We felt like Graves got a little bit tired last night in the second half.
Yeah, I think so. I think our pace on offense, and then the fact that they had to run a lot of offensive plays to even try to get a chance, I think that was a big deal.
That's one of the things I was going to mention that I thought was a key factor is that we kind of tempo-wise, we got.
Y'all were keeping me busy too much last night, David. I'd look up and see the play, and then I'd be writing down what happened. I'd look up, and the ball's already snapped again.
And I thought Will did a really good job of changing that tempo a little bit. And like you just said, I think their defensively they got tired, and like Coach Riley just said, those defensive linemen had to run sideways, sideline to sideline or up the field, and you're going that fast, and I think we ran like maybe 70 plays or something like that, and I thought that was key in that second half is the pace that we had.
It was very key, and continuing with the tackles, Trail with 5, Tate Van Hoosier with 4, Gabe East with 4, Dylan Cavanaugh with 4, and 2 each by Travion Samuel and Barron Wells. One we know coming on the saving a touchdown from the kickoff that we did. Yeah. I noticed early on Trail was having headgear problems. We had him in the wrong helmet last night, or
no? Those I think,
or had the big head gone away and the helmet didn't fit secure.
He and Jameer both were having problems, and Trail more so. Those new helmets, Rydell helmets, they got. Coach Riley can explain it better than I can because he takes care of that stuff, but.
They've got a clip. It's not the old snap-on. There's a slide thing that slides back. And those kids, I think they think it feels secure, but then they sweat, and it's not the old air inside. It's almost like a slick plastic type, soft. And those guys, when they sweat and it gets wet and they hit somebody, it just pops off. You can see it on TV too. You watch on Saturdays and Sundays, those same type helmets come off fairly easy as far as just when you get hit and the momentum's going a certain way. But we had him dry it out, and we made sure he got it strapped up. So.
Well, we knew he left the game for a short period of time, and that was a little helmet drying out. And
he also got sick and had to come out because he got sick out there during the game, and we had to stay on a few plays. And then I didn't even know this happened. He got rolled up on his ankle at some point. I didn't know that. And Mike said that he got rolled up on his ankle. That's the reason he was out for a little bit as well the first half. Well,
and speaking of the injury, we come out. Jameer does no more further damage to his shoulder.
Jameer, I talked to him about the game. He said he felt fine, and I thought he had a heck of a game. His shoulder still got to be bothering him a little bit. He played a heck of a football game last night.
We also want to bring this up again because it's such an accomplishment, mentioning the kickoff return, the 91-yard kickoff return by Trace Holden. That sometimes can demoralize an opposing team when you've just gone in and scored and then look up and you're giving it right back.
That's a big thing, and that's something that they get to score right there and we can answer real quick. And, he did a great job of getting that thing out the field, but we had good blocking on it. And I'm telling you, that's something that we can do every game if our kids will just believe in it.
And this week coming up, JV action, any JV game this week?
Yeah, we'll go to Hoptown on Monday night for a JV game against them. And then Tuesday after practice, it'll be 2 years that we lost Avery Warfield. So his mother's having a little thing out at the cemetery, so we're going to take a bus out there, take our kids out there for that. And then Thursday, pregame, and then Friday we'll be ready to play again, the first home game.
Well, it was a great night last night for the Tigers, coming back from adversity, trailing, getting the win, not essentially dominating the second half, but creating turnovers when we had to. 2 fumbles and 3 interceptions by Graves County really did them in. But a win is a win is a win. And final thoughts, David, going forward?
I'm just so happy and proud of our kids, the way they bounced back after last week. And, they watched the film and saw in the places how they played. And felt like we lost the game we shouldn't have lost last week. And, we could bounce back this week against a very good football team. But things don't get any easier. We got to go back to work this week and get ready to play. And look forward to that, the first home game of the year, and I hope we'll be able to pack that stadium. And Hopkinsville comes in here. Craig Clayton used to be a player here. His dad was the head football coach here, and so look forward to that football game.
And Coach Riley, any final thoughts from you?
I do want to add, on the way home, something unusual happened. Jay Davis, who was the back judge in the game, texts Coach Harrelson.
Jay Thompson.
Did I say Davis? I'm sorry. Thompson, Jay Thompson. But the point was, he texted Coach Harrelson to compliment how Mitchell handled himself during the game, being a leader, being respectful. Even when Mitchell approached the officials and didn't like the explanation he got or went against us, and he was very complimentary of how Mitchell handled himself. And I thought Mitchell deserved a public acknowledgement of that, of being the type of kid and leader that we need. And it's not very often that an official is gonna text a coach about how their kid handled themselves, and that was something that I wanted to bring up, just to kind of give a shout out to Mitchell and show publicly that we appreciate how he handled himself.
And that's one of the
he's a big part of our staff, and we look forward to him being around. He helps out, and kids like him, and he's a big part of our staff.
And nice to have you around, Earl. Earl comes up for the middle school games and keeps me company in the press box, telling me what's going on and what's going on the field. So, Earl, I appreciate that. That's, as I say, wrap it up for the Saturday morning quarterback. The Tigers getting a big win on the road last night at Graves and preparing this week for their home opener at Tiger Stadium against Hopkinsville. Hopkinsville coming into the game 0-2, having been beaten last night by Mayfield. And the road does not get any easier for the Tigers, as Hopkinsville will put a team on the field with athletes, athleticism, and all that. And I invite you to join us next Friday night at 6 o'clock for the David Barnes pregame show, and at 6:30 for the beginning of the broadcast for the football game and for Coach Barnes. Coach Riley and Coach Earl, this is Bob Hayes thanking you for tuning in to the show, and we wish you a most pleasant Saturday morning.
The summer months are fading fast and everyone is settling back into their routines. With the kids back in school, you can now concentrate on summer projects you intended on doing, but you just never found time. Come see us at Fredonia Valley Bank and check out our consumer loans that could help you finance your next project.